Thank you. Okay, we are live. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Business and Economic Development Committee, and around the table we have committee members Fish, Trimble, Leonard, and myself. Councilor Hawes is absent. We also have Councilor Yakovaga and Council Chair Pelletier, and Krieg will lead us through the agenda, and we will start with another exciting yellow airport update. Go right ahead.
Perfect. So I'll kick things off and then I'll hand it over to Amy so that she can cover the statistics for this report. So I'll start with the brief overview of the different projects that we have ongoing at the airport. Probably the most visible that you guys have seen is we finally started the construction work on the runway with a couple of tests running as of this morning. The runway closed at 8 a.m. and that we did have last week a little bit of a delay because we were finalizing some of the approvals that we needed from the FAA, but that's solved and we are on track. The runway closures that we had scheduled for this year will remain the same. There's no additional cancellations that will impact the traveling public. What we will do is once the construction season is over, we'll reassess and see how much is carryover to next year and adjust the schedule for next year, which should be again in close coordination with the airlines to make sure that the traveling public is aware of the changes in the schedule. Aside from that project, we also started seeing quite a bit of progress with the terminal connector project, which is part of that project involves adding a hold room, but also replacing one of the old jet bridges that we had at the airport that has been removed. And in the coming weeks, we'll be getting the new jet bridge on site and installed. There's quite a bit of work happening right outside my window, so that has been fun. In addition to that, we also had a couple other repairs as a result of the heavy storm that we had back in December. So we have been working with our partners across the city to make sure that it falls under the insurance claims and FEMA assistance that went under that whole package. So that is finally getting wrapped up. So that is my update for projects. I will hand it over to Amy so that she can touch base on statistics and marketing efforts that we've had.
So we had another yellow month. So this is our 8th record month in a row for passenger traffic numbers, which is sort of highlights the need of some of the projects that we're doing right now to make sure that we have the capacity as we continue to move forward. So statistics, the reports here show you sort of where we're at with passengers, but also if you look at the parking lot vehicle inventory, another indicator sort of where we're headed and where we are, not just where we're headed. So operationally, our load factors are pretty much where we would expect them to be, a little higher than last year, which is what fits with our employment numbers. Airlines still remain competitive. And since we've had our last stats report, we did have the announcement that Breeze Airways will be joining us in October. So at a future meeting, we've had our air service consultant do some forecasting for us, and we're taking those numbers and combining those with some of the other airport operational numbers that we have so that we can give you sort of that forecast picture of what we think the next quarter at least will look like as they come on board. So if any questions?
I have one quick question. Will the airport construction make us stop going gold?
I can't predict at this point what is going to happen. I mean, yes, we do have brief closures, but we worked very hard with the airlines to make sure that these closure periods were during the times that they're not as busy.
Oh, okay.
And this is a slower time of year for us anyway, because we talk about the seasonality of the airport. So we've already had, the outgoing snowbirds and that busy holiday traffic. Most of them have returned at this point because we usually see everybody come back, right as soon as the snow is gone. And we never know if that's actually anymore, but and then we won't really see that those summer tourism numbers start to pick up for the month of May is sort of that transition month. So really the time was picked because it's traditionally sort of not as busy. But my crystal ball doesn't work that well. So, yes, while they're all in one month, May may not be as strong.
Mhm.
But it typically is a slower month for us anyway.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Do you want me to keep
Yeah.
going? Okay, sorry. And just in marketing, our next ad campaign is scheduled to start. We did slow down a little bit because of the runway construction. This is typically a time that we don't advertise locally, because people in Maine want to enjoy the summer here. So we're not looking for passengers from here to go other places. And the airlines tend to take care of most of the marketing and advertising for us that are people from away and coming in. We do work with the regional tourism boards. So we have, ads in those publications that get sent out throughout the year. But we're not gonna do any specific target marketing. I will also have some Canadian market figures for you. One of the things that we've talked about in shifting is that we've done a lot of digital ads in Canada, one, because radio is so expensive, TV is so expensive in Canada, that the digital ads are the way for us to go. But it also allows us to track a little bit better. So I can tell you our last campaign was right on target where we really wanted it to be, and we're still seeing those Canadian numbers. So we'll add some of that in sort of our quarterly update. But as far as community engagement, yes, we might be closed for a few days. Yes, we've got lots of projects going on, but we're still very involved in those community engagement projects. So I just attended with Christy Haverlock, who's our passenger service specialist. We went to the Brewer High School Career Fair. Probably the best career fair that we've had in quite a while. Lots of interest. These kids are not necessarily ready to work for the airport right now. Like, we're not really a summer job for them because of the requirements and age and background checks. But it really gets them thinking about what's that next step and what are some things that they should be doing to prepare. And then the governor's conference on tourism, again, always a good place for us to be. The Jetport was not there this year, and it was in Portland. So it was noted that we made the effort, and it was much appreciated that we were there. So again, a good effort for us, and a great place for us to be. Coming up, we've got Eastern Maine Community College and Bangor Housing Career Exploration Tours, more Living Innovations Tours, which are a great opportunity for us to get other community members in. And then Bucksport High School Career Exploration will be in for a tour. So really trying to evolve that workforce and talk about the different careers that you can have at the airport. It's not just pilots and flight attendants, and you can have pretty much any career that you want to through the airport. And then we also help promote city jobs. So like we always have the city website. We've got cards with all the employment opportunities. We try to check in with human resources and see if there's any areas that they really need some help in. So we do that as well. Upcoming, we've got Maine International Trade Center Trade Day. So the airport has been named Service Provider of the Year this year, and Trade Day is in Bangor. So great opportunity for us, and very honored to be recognized by the organization. We work very closely with them on several things. You will soon be receiving an invitation. The troop greeters are holding their annual Memorial Brick Ceremony. That'll be the Friday before Memorial Day, right at the airport. And again, we've got several more school group tours in June that will be coming in.
Okay. All right. And the last two things that we have on our list here is tomorrow morning, we'll be conducting our full-scale exercise, which is an emergency exercise that we're required to conduct every 3 years. And it's meant for the airport staff to test our abilities and capacity to address a major catastrophe at the airport. And so we've been working very closely with the fire department, with the police department, and all other emergency responders across the city and the county to make sure that this is a successful event. We're taking advantage of the runway closure to get people out there onto a portion of the airport and run through the whole procedures that we have in place and test to see what works, what doesn't work, and then we can make it better.
Is that the kind of thing that will attract attention and people will ask what's going on at the airport? Like, will it be visible from the?
It will, and so we've coordinated with local media. So we have local media coming out tomorrow. And there've been, it was in the news today. So there's been notifications out, but we also have signage out in front of the airport. I mean, one good thing about us being closed during this period is that there's no impact to passengers, and there will be, we won't have passengers coming and going that will see emergency vehicles and think, what's happening. But we typically, put things out ahead of time. So we had interviews today. We'll have media coverage tomorrow. We've coordinated to have them there. But also reached out to media so that they can do a follow-up. We'll post some photos. Northern Light is coming with their comms team. And so they're gonna come and have a photography team that will work with us. A little tricky because we have to get permission from the airlines for some of the photos. So that will come out post exercise.
It's arranged media coverage.
Yeah, so we sent
That's not
out.
like, it's not sudden, like, oh, there is something going on, no. It's
No, and we sent out a media release to let them know what was happening, and they just had to let us know if they were coming. So that we could make sure that we had proper escorts and the right number of people to get them to where they need to be.
good.
And then I will just briefly talk about Bangor International Airport is in the short list for Newsweek's Best Small Airport. So Amy can probably speak a little bit more about the voting process, but
Yeah, no, it's fine. So we are Newsweek's editors and a group of aviation experts are the ones that kind of narrow the pool down and select the airports. So for a couple of years, we have been given hey, this might happen, and it hasn't happened. So happy to report that we made it all the way down to the short list. And voting will end May 23rd. We have not really pushed this a lot on our social media because we've had some other things that we've needed to put out there and didn't want to detract attention. But that will be something that we'll also be putting out there and mentioning people can vote multiple times from multiple devices. So we
I already voted while we were sitting here.
Yeah, me too. Not hard.
It's not hard at all. And they don't spam you with a bunch of email afterwards, so it just takes a second,
The
but
picture of the airport looks, the renovations look great.
right? It's really good photo. But they've been really very kind to work with. But just another recognition of our staff and employees and the improvements that we've been making and the support from the city and the community and the state and the federal agencies that work with us. But it's nice to see that it's recognized outside of this community as well.
And just to add to what Amy is just saying, over the last few weeks, it's trying to get everything lined up for the runway project to actually start and get it going has been a tremendous effort. And part of that achievement has been due to the help that I've received from the entire team on helping with a variety of different projects that ultimately a lot of the times fall under me, and with me directing all of my attention to get the runway project moving. I certainly had to rely on a lot of my team to continue to move the airport forward, and so I appreciate their efforts to make sure that everything continues to move on. So, any questions? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is CDBG.
Yeah. We had a really good, she's coming up, we had a great community development week. And she's just gonna go over a couple things from that and some work that we're doing with Habitat for Humanity.
Wow, I feel like you just covered it. Do I go?
Well, hello. Yes, as Anne said, we wanted to just give you an update on some really great things that have been occurring over the last couple of weeks. So Community Development Week, we had a lot of really great turnout. It was the first time that we really made, a sort of a bigger effort to recognize that week with extra engagement events, being out in the community. And I think that it was really well received, and we learned quite a bit about, what we could bring forward every year and have sort of standing events. So I think that we will be having another effort next year to bring in project recipients and being able to learn, how their projects went and things like that, and just having an additional touch point in the community to let them know about CDBG and kind of make that loud splash. Additionally, to springboard off of that, we had a fair housing conference, the following week. This fair housing conference offered a high-level overview of the sort of, the framework of fair housing and what that's used for. And the city of Bangor, because we receive federal funding, we're required to outline a plan of what we will do to called affirmatively furthering fair housing. So in that, we created a workshop series to sort of give sort of an umbrella framework about what the Housing Act is, and then we're going to do some events throughout the year that target specifically what that looks like in practice for different folks that have and provide different types of housing or advocate for different types of housing, and being able to move toward creating a plan, you know, to have a fairer outlook on housing and what our needs are and what we need to produce for housing as well. What was the other thing I was supposed to talk about? Fair housing and, Habitat for Humanity. Okay, so one of the things, speaking of fair housing, so as we move into the new year, we're trying to find ways to make our programs better, you know, to be able to move in areas that touch more residents and so that people can understand more about our programs. So for our rehabilitation programs, we are partnering with Habitat for Humanity. They have a really great reputation for doing a lot of the same, you know, types of things with respect to not only critical repairs, but also, you know, the thing that they're really known for, which is sort of like the homeownership initiatives. But they have a really great presence in Bangor, and they have a lot of great resources. And so we found a way that we could have a great symbiotic relationship with being able to support them in their mission. But they're also providing our residents with really great services for owner-occupied rehabilitation in a way that offers residents the ability to have sort of an advocate as they're getting repairs done. It also, because they use a lot of volunteer labor, it keeps their price point low. But if a homeowner needs, you know, something that is outside of the scope of what volunteers can do, for example, electricity or plumbing, the Habitat for Humanity acts sort of as a conduit to be able to negotiate along with the homeowner and be able to get that work done, sort of becoming a little bit of an advocate in that relationship. So we're expecting to launch. We've done a few sort of test projects to see how well we would be able to work with each other and make sure that we have, you know, good communication, and we're sort of finalizing what our agreement will look like. But the goal is to probably do about 8 to 10 projects throughout the year with them, so that we're really excited to move forward with our homeowner rehab through that.
Any questions? Councilor Leonard?
It's just a comment. We as a council received some input about the workshop that you did last week, and we've only heard positive comments regarding that. So I just wanted to commend the work that you guys and your team is doing. It's being seen, it's being noticed, and I just want to thank you for all the work that you've been putting in. It's been a really long road and a lot of hard work, but and also me personally, I just want to commend you on the work that you and your team has done.
That's wonderful. We now are fully staffed in our department, and we've got a lot of energy. So, you know, I think it's sort of, we are able to take a breath and decide, you know, what's a really great path forward. And so we are trying to, you know, do some of those things that really put us out there in the community. I did bring, just to sort of give you this, you will sort of see some of these cards, things that have our QR code around. These are going to be some of the ways that we're reaching out to residents to have them learn more about our programs. But we also have, you know, ways of them being able to get in touch with us and do different surveys and other activities. So you'll see larger cards like this, But then we have smaller ones that would be carrying. So if we encounter a resident and they're interested, they can look at our QR code and they can access a lot of really great things on our website. So yeah, we're just trying to get out there and be more visible and try to meet some of those needs in the community a different way.
That's awesome. So where are those gonna be available? Like, have you thought about
Everywhere that we can
locations?
find, yeah. So we have these that are sort of the immediate ones for our annual action plan. Because we're in the 30-day comment period right now, so you can actually use this QR code and it takes you right to the plan. But then further out than that, we're going to have sort of a standard card that you'll see, at the library and community centers, that kind of thing. But then these, we'll just personally kind of have on hand and hand out whenever it's, it makes sense to do that.
And I don't mean to suggest, but maybe Housing Authority of Bangor, maybe GA, all of these,
Sure.
where people who can benefit from the CDBG program.
Absolutely. If I could just like,
Places they go through.
throw them up in the air and see where they land, but
I
really,
think-
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the suggestions.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. Our next item is building height allowances in multifamily and service districts. Come on up,
that's fine. And I'm in a scoop, like right.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Have a good night.
You too.
So I brought back some revised language based on our discussions before on increasing the height allowances in the MNSD and USD districts. Just as a refresher, we would be looking at increasing the height to 60 feet in these zones only on major and minor arterials. And then in USD, increasing the base height to 45 from where it's currently at 35. I did implement some of the suggestions as far as screening. So for rooftop mechanical equipment where a property is located in a residential district, it would have to have screening for rooftop equipment. And then also just to address some concerns about where these do abut residential districts and having a higher building, we are maintaining the building envelope standards when a property is next to URD 1, URD 2, or LDR. The building envelope being when a building is right at the setback line, it'll be a lower height, maximum 20 feet, and then it would increase as you go towards the interior of the lot. And so that should help prevent, having like a wall right at the lot line. I think that was pretty much everything, so.
Questions, comments? Would entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no doubt, that's fantastic. I know you've worked really hard on this to get it just right, so thank you for your work on it.
Thank you.
And this one is like, so I'm so geeked out about this next one, because I also like bees. They go together, so Bee City.
Yes, so we've been working with Bangor Beautiful on this for a little bit as far as becoming a Bee City USA. Just as background, Bee City USA is an initiative of the Xerces Society to promote native pollinator conservation because there has been such widespread decline in these populations throughout the world. And it really is a threat to our food supply as well as just ecology and things like that. And so we're proposing the city commit to this effort. And what that would really involve would be policy changes potentially, but also public education. And that would really focus on preserving native bee nesting sites, reducing the use of pesticides and things like that, and then increasing the abundance of native plants throughout the city. And as we have in here some background on just why that's important besides ecology, being more sustainable in general is an attractive future to people as far as determining where they want to live and work. So it's important with regards to that as well. And so the application to do this would be, would involve setting up a committee and that can be managed either by the city or a nonprofit, have meetings that are open to the public, and then have the city have a liaison with that committee. And there is also an application fee and renewal fee of $300. So
if the committee is amenable, we propose the Bangor Beautiful Trees and Bees Committee be the standing committee for this. The Community and Economic Development Department be the sponsor, and then me as the planning officer be the liaison. And we do have to have a draft proclamation that would be approved by Bee City USA before adoption, so.
Would I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion and just a quick comment. I think it'd be hilarious if we voted no on this after the bee mural that we just.
And our golf course fees, is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and just, the golf course fees have been a huge hit, and the bee mural has been a huge hit, and bees and trees, like, is there anything better? I think it just really ties in well with what we really want Bangor to be. Anyway, so seeing no doubt, this has passage.
Great, thanks. And before you go, the first thing for check-in is short-term rentals.
Yeah.
What are we up to for a portal opened
Mhm.
online for people to sign up? That Anya's been working really hard on with our a company that we hired to help us with this. And how many do we have?
We so far have roughly 30 applications, and we get new ones every day. There are a few adjustments we have to make, but I think overall it's been a good process. So, yeah. Oh, and we are hosting, I should say, we're hosting, 2 Q&A sessions next week on Tuesday and Thursday for people that have questions about the inspection process, because we'll be gearing up inspections this month.
Will there be a virtual option for that?
Yes, it will be hybrid. It'll be here, and it can be Zoom or in person.
Excellent.
Did you want me to say that?
I think that's it. Yeah, thank you. So, also for check-ins, we've been, April and May as convention season, there's so many meetings. And one of the many great things about being fully staffed right now is we kind of spread them out. Usually you get to just pick one and that's it, and so we've been able, to attend some really great things. Anya went to the Urban Land Institute, their spring meeting in New York. I went to the National Planning Conference in Minneapolis, and Brad, our business development specialist, went to the New England Canada Business Council Economic Forum. We're doing a lot more work. Brigitte, our economic development officer, and Brad are working with the airport and the international trade folks, to really take a look at and increasing our international trade. So it's so great to get this extra breath of people and, getting out there and, getting our training and getting out there and networking. So I'm really, really happy about that. So other projects that we have going, I just want to check in with you. We started the housing study that's been that got started a month ago. We're having a staff level meeting with them just to kind of go over some of the data that they have and what we have. And I'll probably be coming to you at your June meeting with a more formal update from them and a presentation. So that's moving along pretty quickly. We also met with the architects for the pre-approved plans project. That's the project where we're going to create a series of pre-approved plans for accessory dwelling unit and some multifamily. So again, trying to remove those barriers for people for housing. They don't have to pay an architect to have it done. We'll have them right here for people to use. So we showed the architects around our different neighborhoods just to kind of give them an idea of some of the existing design, because we really, one of the sort of the side projects of this is trying to insert in our infill projects, those design standards that kind of match the neighborhood. So it's one of those those buildings that look like when it first goes in, it's like, whoa, this is new. But then after a short time, it looks like it's always been there. That's the kind of design that we're trying to get to. And also the Grandview project, we do have a date set for the public charrette for May 28th. And we're gonna have that actually over at Hudson. So just to get it a little bit closer to where people are, We'll do a good, outreach campaign on that to try to get, members of the public there. We're having the, design firm, down in Yarmouth that's been, View Shed, that's been working on our downtown master plan. We're having them come up to run the charrette. So it'll be fun for people to kind of be able to work with somebody, like, how do we make these decisions for site plans and, you know, really sort of have a say as to how things should get developed, on the Grandview project. So that's great. And Vikita, I think is here. There you are, to talk a little bit about the work she's been doing on the Economic Development Week, which is right now.
Yes, so today kicked off Economic Development Week, National Economic Development Week. And I believe this is the first time that we're actively participating. We have 2 activities that's happening this week. So tomorrow we have what we're calling the VIP event. And the idea is that the theme is focused on vision, investment, and partnership. And we're having it at the VIP Lounge. So Waterfront Concerts was gracious enough to give us their space called the VIP Lounge, and we're hosting it there. What I'm really proud of is the fact that we're at the center, but we are extending ourselves and hosting it with the Chamber of Commerce, as well as downtown Bangor. So Betsy and Deb will be facilitating with me. And so the idea around this is 2 really riveting topics that are happening with our businesses. One, how to attract and retain our talent. So post-COVID, there's been a shift in the workforce where our workforce really they experienced something that they never experienced before, and they're a little more empowered and wanting exactly what they want in terms of hybrid and remote schedules and things like that. And then the other kind of topic is how to be a business that's really, it's one thing to be a business that's in a community, and it's another thing to be a business that's engaged in the community and having a reciprocal relationship. So how we have it formulated, tomorrow's event is we have 3 panels, a business panel, a workforce development leadership panel, and very excited because we have a future workforce panel. So these are students from UMaine and Hudson that are about to graduate and talk to us about what does a good employer mean for you? What is it going to take? What is your lifestyle? What is your job? How do those things connect? And then ultimately, what would make you be retained in this region? What does the city need to look like for you to be able to live that quality life? So really excited about it. We have 66, let's just say, community leaders registered for the event. So it should be very successful. And then the next day we have an open house called Grab a Slice, where we, the community and economic development team that's now fully staffed, we're just up close and personal with our community. So we're here to meet and greet and tell you exactly what we do and why we do it and how we can be a resource to you.
Awesome. How long has it been since you've been fully staffed?
How long?
Yeah.
How long did you
month?
start?
But, no, I mean, how long were you not fully staffed? I think it was like over
A
a
year,
year.
because I started in January of last year. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a year. Yeah.
I love this idea. I love the idea that it's at the VIP lounge with down the waterfront. It's great. And that you guys are networking with not just our community, but also bringing in the young people to let the people get an idea of, you know, what has worked for the labor force even 5 years ago is changing drastically. So kudos. I'm really impressed with this idea and excited about it. Now, of the 66 business leaders, are those business owners? What's that demographic
varies.
like?
So the demographic we have business owners, we have workforce leaders, we have people representing different businesses. We have students, so there'll be students in the audience as well. And so the businesses that we're hosting that'll be on the panel are businesses that can actually share best practices around retaining. So we have Bangor Savings Bank, we have Rennie's, who had a really great experience in Bangor. We have Waterfront Concerts. They talk about how they retain their staff for years and years. And then we have a smaller business, City Drawers, that's a downtown business. And they'll talk about that as well. They're more focused on how do you engage in community? And so she'll talk about how, she'll reach out to all of the businesses in her surrounding areas just to say hi, get to know their product. How do I refer a customer to you to be engaged?
Good, thank you.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Councilor Leonard?
It's more so a comment. I'm actually looking forward to what the students have to say
Yeah, me too.
regarding
Sure.
what they're looking for their employer, how they're looking for employment and their housing, because obviously we had that study that made it very clear to us at the city that what it was boiled down to was we need to focus on not millennials, the Gen Z workforce
Sure.
coming in. And we need to focus and cater to, obviously, our healthcare facilities here in the city, because that's our biggest employer in the city, but also just trying to understand and figure out what is how do they look at transportation? How do they look at housing? Because from that policy, I can't speak to multimodal transportation, though I'd be very shocked if students just wanted to own more cars at this point, but I'd be very interested into seeing how they might answer questions regarding housing as well, especially regarding the size of that housing, because from that report, it was disseminated to us on the council that most of that workforce is looking for smaller housing. So I'm really interested in what the Gen Z comments are going to be from that panel. Might even go if I have time.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I don't know necessarily if that question will be asked. It'll be great to have that question already perhaps in the audience. That'd be fantastic. But the objective, and I spoke to the students before, because this is their first time really being on a panel, and that the objective is that you want to be able to deliver in a way that people can listen and receive. Right? So be honest, absolutely, but we want to make sure that everyone listening to you can take away and receive in a positive light.
And when is this gonna be?
This is tomorrow.
Okay.
You can't make it?
I have to check my calendar, it's
Yeah.
booked up. Yeah.
It's at 9 a.m. tomorrow, 9 to 11.
I'll be in Waterville, unfortunately.
Wow.
I can't, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be with them.
Yeah, well, I hope that you guys report back on how it goes, even informally, like an email or something, but that would be great.
Okay, great.
All right, is that the end of the
That's it.
agenda? Well,
Yeah.
then we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.